Hello everybody, welcome to a new and, as always, extremely exciting episode of Banter Blitz with me. I'm sick Jan Gustafsson drinking my, what is this called? Aspirin complex? Is aspirin a global thing or is it a German thing? It's probably a global thing, right? Because here headache and aspirin are kind of not synonyms, but they're linked to each other. Well, maybe in other places you guys are more into paracetamol or what else is there? Ibuprofen. I'm new to the hypochondriac scene, so I gotta learn all these things. Anyway, we're here to play Blitz Chess. Challenge me to 5-minute games if you dare. I told you last time I would be 3,000 for the next video because I'm kind of felt the show was missing this narrative of will Jan keep his 3,000 rating during this video. It felt a bit like Game of Thrones without Jeffrey when I was stuck in these 2800 regions. So I made the big effort of getting back because it turns out I'm better at Blitz when I'm not talking and not narcissistically staring into the camera, obsessing about my hairstyle. Okay, that was a lie. Even when I don't do Banter Blitz, I do stare into the camera and obsess about my hairstyle. I put this weird thing into it. What is it like? It's not... Okay, let's face it. It's the same thing they used in There's Something About Mary. Alright. What do I do? I gotta click on some challenge, I guess. Oh no, I gotta abort my... This is... whatever. Show 62, and I feel like I did a lot before on YouTube, but I still don't know how to start it. And the number of the show is not my age, surprisingly. Speaking of age, I believe the oldest challenger out there, that's probably not true, is Uro Abila. Are you the oldest possible challenger, Arturo? Let's check the picture. He's probably not that old. He goes e4. I never know what to do against e4. g6 probably. Oh, it's a 3-minute challenge too. I'm trying to switch to 5-minute games because it gives me more time to talk nonsense, to review my latest comedy watching, and to explain deep strategic questions. Like, do you go e6 here? Do you go e5? Do you go knight to f6? I could talk ad nauseum about that topic, but since I only have 3 minutes, I'm not going to be able to do it. h3, that's a rare move. Bishop e3 is what they normally do. I guess he wants to go g4. The one thing I learned as a kid is after g4, you go f5. If they go gf, you go ef. If they go ef, you go gf. When they go low, we go high. Does that mean that when they go high, we go low? I guess so. Anyway, I learned that recapturing in an asymmetrical fashion here is a good thing. And I learned it's a good thing to go f5 to stop potential harm with the white kingside attack. I want to go bishop a6, but then ef bothers me a bit because I can't keep up my promise. But sometimes rules are meant to be broken. The problem is after ef I can't go gf due to queen takes e6 check. So I would have to go ef. Can still go queen e6, king h8, knight g5 or whatnot. But I have a feeling I'll survive rook f6 or queen e8 first. Doesn't look too bad. Well, queen d2 looks like a bit of a blunder since now I can win material. As usual, if I can win material, all my strategizing goes out of the window. I'll just grab it. Give me that rook. Exchange up. Oh, I shouldn't pre-move that. Probably I should take with the queen. Carl Ning says he's 67 and he feels older than that. How old do you feel, Carl? Like 80 or like 72? Because I've been told by many people that there's a huge difference between being in your 70s and being in your 80s. And there was this interview with this 105-year-old dude who said he feels completely different now that he's 105 compared to when he was just 100. So you have to be more specific, Carl Ning. I think I won this game because he doesn't want to remove the knight. Because if he were to move it, knight f3 check would pick up the queen. And if he were not to move it, I would take it. And then I would have an extra rook. Thanks for the game, Uro Abila. I hope we all learned something. This f5 thing is useful knowledge. Youthful, because I learned it when I was a kid playing the Sicilian. Any other challenges out there? Uh-oh, this guy can crush me, which is bad news. Maybe he can crush you, but not me. Carl Ning does feel like 72 only. Yeah, that's not so bad. It's like, how old is Trump? He's 70, right? And 80s do scare the... You can't write crap, but I can say crap. No one can ban me here. This is live television with millions of viewers. There's no 10-second delay. They can't filter out all the bad words I say. Which I think I deserve extra credit for. That I've been mainly working clean, even though in real life, first of all, I don't talk much in real life. Secondly, I'm very filthy. So this is a big, big effort to not use all these bad words that I'm perfectly familiar with. I'm not familiar with Can Crash You's whereabouts, but he's not here. So I'll try to play somebody else. How about Taneous? Taneous. Another interesting name. Taneous. It's like spontaneous combined with the Daltons. The Daltons are the villains from Lucky Luke, right? The four brothers, aren't they the Daltons? So maybe Spontaneous likes to... Nah, I shouldn't imply that he likes to... That Taneous is a gunslinger. He is a bit of a gunslinger when it comes to opening choices, though. He plays the Budapest Gambit. One of the lines that I never look at here is d6, ed, queen f6 that some people play. I think it's refuted, but I don't know how. So future opponents, if you want to surprise me in the opening, this d6, ed, queen f6 will always get the job done. Well, what he does is the main line that I played myself when I was a young man, so much younger than today, like 11 years old. But I realized that after queen e7, e3 takes everything on e5. Black is just slightly worse with not a lot to show for it. Taneous goes f6 now, which also gets the job done of surprising me. Do I have to think already? Why? Why do you guys always want me to think? I guess I'll take it. Queen takes f6, hitting the bishop and the pawn. The greedy move would be bishop takes c7. Doesn't take with the queen, takes with the knight. That's too complicated for me. Now it looks to my simplistic mind that I'm just a pawn up and I'll get my pieces out and enjoy the fruits of this extra pawn of mine. Do pawns provide fruit? Probably not. Yeah, I'm not sure about that opening choice there, Taneous. Of course, a pawn is only a pawn. We've only just begun, but I don't see any compensation for it, frankly. Could have taken with the queen as well, but it felt useful to cover the e4 square and not to allow any jumps with tempo. Queen e7. I'll just try to expand on the queen side a bit. I have a feeling he's not going to let me. No, he doesn't want me to expand, which is a pity, because I wanted to expand. Is it expand or expand? I don't really need an answer. I'm just wondering. I don't know what to do. I'll pretend to be Mr. Sophisticated Grandmaster, regrouping his knight because he understands it has to go to this square. I'm not so sure if that's a sensible thing to do. After knight e4, I might have to go f3, which I'm not sure I want to. But I felt this knight wasn't doing that much on d2, and it might have a brighter future on c3. And isn't that what we all want for our knights? To ensure them the education, the life that we never had ourselves. Very important that c3 is covered by this knight. Therefore, I can get away with some more space grabbing. And yeah, Dalton's position. What can I say? It's pretty bad. He's a pawn down with an, yeah, kind of inferior structure to my pieces are well placed. So it's not fun. But life is not all fun and games sometimes. How do I make further progress? Take, yeah, why not? My original intention was to go queen a8 check, but it doesn't really seem to get that much done. Even rook f8, queen b7, rook b8 is not that clear. So I'll just grab a bit more space and take it from there. Knight d8. Any threats? Not really, I don't think. He might go rook. Oh, sorry. He might go rook g6, but there's no real checkmates to be had on that side of the board. Still have a feeling I could have done a little better over the last couple moves. And again, isn't that always the case? Bishop g3, just so rook g6 never bothers me. And in case he wants to go knight e6, I already declared my intentions and can now react to this knight here. Well, bishop f3 was not always great had he gone, I don't know, something else. Here or check? I'll go here. Yeah, I haven't made a lot of progress over the last couple of moves. I'm still significantly better, but been drifting a little bit. I want to go here and then here. Oof. Wow. This is more than drifting a little bit. That's what you get with 3000 rating. Oh boy. That's just pathetic. Wow. Okay, the tables have turned. Now I'm in exchange down. I have to try to stick around, which won't be easy. Because it is a pretty significant exchange, and this pawn is also weak. What an unexpected turn of events. What do I do? I guess I have to bring my bishop back to cover c4. Because it looked nice on c6, but didn't really do a whole lot. But I'm still in a bit of a stage of shock that I did not consider the option to put the knight there and attack these two pawns. Not that hidden, one would think. What does he want? Does he want to go queen c5? Does that scare me? Probably should scare me. I don't know. The main problem is my position is lost, so I can't change that simple fact with one move. I have a feeling I have to keep material on the board to at least have some swindling chances. And to also potentially go all the way to Flagsville, which is always the final destination if things don't go well. At least hopefully it is. Not a whole lot I can do to improve my situation. One problem is this bishop really isn't doing all that much on g3. But I don't see a way to improve it, and I think I gotta leave it there to keep my king side at least kind of covered. So the job is the usual, make moves more or less quickly, try not to blunder all that much while making these moves more or less quickly. You know, same old, same old. Also try not to allow any exchanges, because if I exchange pieces, black's job will get a lot easier, which he's fully aware of. Therefore, he constantly keeps offering these exchanges, but I don't want to. You want to draw? You're an exchange up, you should play for a win. What is this? What is this draw mongering? Gimme. It's like Taneous is overwhelmed by the moment. The extra exchange is getting to his head. He's not the Taneous we got to know and love. He couldn't handle his sudden material gains. Oh, hang on. I was already mentally wrapping up, and then you do this, Taneous? Don't scare me like that. Queen e1? That's only one check in reality. Yeah, that's quality chess for you guys out there. I was kind of winning, even though, as I was saying, I drifted a bit. But to play this move is quite shocking indeed. Especially since I was completely oblivious. Normally when you blunder you see it in that millisecond. But here I thought, nah, all good. I'm going to go here and then win. Knight b3 was a complete shock. So yeah, I'm in great shape and I will continue to crush all of you. How about... Let's find a new dude. How about Teagle? Is Teagle implying that you're from Berlin, Teagle? I believe that's a neighborhood in Berlin. It's a chess club. My friend Uro Abila has played for Teagle for hundreds of years. They're normally drifting back and forth between first and second league. So we'll find out. Maybe it means something completely different for Mr. Teagle. Apologies. I decided to go with the trendy London system. I've been playing that a lot in Blitz. It still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not sure why it's so popular. But I had the same problem with Larry the Cable Guy. Doesn't mean it's not funny. Okay, probably does. What was I talking about? Ah yeah, London system. If they go sort of passive with bishop f5 and c6 as here, I believe it makes a lot of sense for white to go c4 and put this knight on c3. Not automatically play knight d2, c3, h3, which is sort of the old MO in these Londons. Bishop d6, also slightly rare to offer this exchange so early. Not sure. I don't want to exchange pieces. You could make a case for many moves. Bishop takes d6, bishop g3, bishop g5, queen b3. Maybe queen b3 was the most challenging, but I didn't trust bishop f4, queen b7, bishop somewhere, bishop c7 for example. I'll try it now, see what happens. If he goes queen b6, c5 is certainly an option, and I'm gonna think about tricks like queen takes, followed by knight takes c6 as well, which I don't know if it works. Alright, but I promise to think about it. So takes, knight c6, bishop f4, knight e7, check, king h8, knight takes f5, bishop h2 might win the pawn back. No, that's... Alright, let's just do it. So the line I was talking about was takes, check, king h8, takes here. When I'm currently pawn up, it's not completely clear after ef5, ef4, because my pawns are kind of broken then. Let's say rook e8 check, followed by knight c6. But I still thought it might be worth doing, and at the very least it looked mildly entertaining, which is the goal. Don't blunder too many exchanges and be mildly entertaining. Not sure it was a good idea. This pawn is just so weak. Duke Crusher saying, normally I'm not home in time for the show, but today I made it. Hi Jan. Hi Duke Crusher. That's the spirit. Leave work early. Go watch some Banter Blitz. Where do I put this bishop? d3, c4. Looks a bit vulnerable on c4. So d3 it is. Problem, of course, with d3 that doesn't cover the d5 pawn. So if he goes any rook to d8, not quite sure what to do about it, but I'll do something. I'm thinking about rook e d8, king to e3, knight takes d5, king takes d4, but unfortunately knight takes f4, followed by knight takes d3, wins the material back, which is a great pity, if you ask me. Do I have to change my mind now and humbly go bishop c4? I guess so. I can argue it's a new situation, a new dawn, now that this rook is no longer on e8. If he goes rook c8, I can play all kinds of moves. Or a b5, I can also play king d3, that's another line. I was thinking about, all this thinking. Teagle playing very well so far. I don't like that. Not one bit. Now a line is bc, king d4, rook a5 maybe, king c4, knight d5. My king feels a little funny out there. Kadu Ortulan. Jan, would you please say again the site on spam mail? Ah, you mean 419eater.com? Yeah, enjoy. Jan, what about your new video series part 4? Relax, chess player 007. I just got done with part 3. Don't you know that I need like a year to spit out one of those? Now I'll try to be a little faster than a year this time around. But it's not in production yet. But I'm well aware there is a need for it. You people need it. And I need to win this endgame, which doesn't really look winning. I'm a pawn up currently, but my king is so weak, his rooks are so active. Rook d5 might give me a chance. Rook a5 looked better, because now b4 all of a sudden is very awkward to meet. Stops checks and his rooks are painfully codependent. Probably not the right word. And I'm winning one of them. That was a bit of a lucky break there. You don't see that often, that king, a lone king, can capture the rook, a rook with the help of some measly pawns. So yeah, I got a little lucky here, and Teagle resigns because he's losing a rook. Well, after rook a takes d5, yeah, I don't think I'm better. There's thousands of checks along the d file, rook d2 is there. Yeah, it's just an equal position. So yeah, lucky break for me. Second lucky break in a row. Maybe today is finally my lucky day. Could this be the day? Let's play against Rote from Germany. Is that your first name? Is it two first names? We will never know. Rote goes e4 resolutely. And what do I do? e5. If in doubt, play e5. Knight f3, knight c6. This is my go-to opening. Still, after many years, I switched to e4, e5 when I was like my early 20s. Before that, I played a lot of Sicilians, a lot of Carocans. But I found a friend in this e4, e5. Some people say it ruined my chess career because I got even nittier than before playing e4, e5 all the time. And I don't really have a plan B to defeat weaker opponents. Like, I will play the occasional Sicilian or Carocan, but I'm not really good at them. Well, this opening, the c3, is the so-called Scotch Gambit. And one easy way to defuse it is to go knight f6, cd, bishop b4 check. Which transposes to a line you normally get after bishop c4, bishop c5. 3 bishop c4, bishop c5, c3, knight f6, d4, et. I'm not sure you guys are following. Anyway, I transposed into a known equal line instead of trying to refute her gambit, which is not so easy. All of this is in the book. One problem from a practical perspective here is that after queen b3, the best black has is knight a5, queen a4, knight c6, queen b3 with a move repetition. I wouldn't have done that, I would have played knight c7, but then white is a little better. So that's a bit awkward to meet sometimes. Here rook e1, I believe knight b6 could be a good idea, targeting this d4 pawn instantly. It's not so easy to defend. Or is it? No, it doesn't look like. And Rote is looking for a way to keep this d4 pawn alive. Rook e4 is possible. It's clumsy, but maybe you gotta do it. Then black's doing very well. Knight takes c4 and queen d5. Throw in some bishop f5 or knight c4, bishop e6, bishop d5. All looks very nice. So I believe it's the right choice to give up this pawn. But you know me, if there's a pawn for the taking, I will take first and think later. Maybe bishop g4 was a bit more active. But same thinking applies. Pawn is a pawn. She might actually have fair compensation for the pawn here. Because if I take bishop takes, it's not easy to get my pieces out without returning the pawn. So what do I do? I'm not sure, frankly. I could go bishop e6, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop e6, fe, rook e6, rook a2, and some rook to e7 looks very equal as well. Can go knight d5, but then it's also knight d6. Looks like enough play. Maybe it's just equal. It's a hard knock life for us. Yeah, it seems equal to me. I don't see nothing. I'll go here to keep the game going, but after knight d6, there's not a whole lot I can do, really. I'd love to go bishop e6, but then b7 is hanging. If bishop g4, white just plays f3 or rook d4. Yeah, it's an equal position. Probably the best I can and should do is knight d6, some move like b6, and white just recaptures either immediately on d5 or probably first on c8, then on d5. And the game should end peacefully, even though, of course, I will try to mess with that outcome. To mess with that outcome? Where? Rote playing a great game so far. Not a fan of opponents playing well. Maybe she didn't get the memo. I'm not sure about rook b5. I should keep the game in the realms of equality, but it looks a little passive. I believe putting some rook on the 7th was maybe an easier way to drawville. My intentions are fairly obvious. Put all my rooks here, hopefully don't get checkmated on my back rank, and then take some pawns. And all of a sudden, white's position is no longer easy to hold. If rook e2, I have rook c1 check. Yeah, there's always a danger if you place your rooks slightly passively in rook endgames. Bad things can happen quite quickly. Speaking of bad things, I still have this cold. That does threaten checkmate, but I can take some pawns with check first and then parry it, which will probably be bad news. Or I can actually deliver checkmate after king f1. I don't even have to parry it. So yeah, that went downhill very fast from really an equal position. Here after rook c2, it was mandatory to play rook to d7. Just stay active, put your rook on the 7th rank. And I don't think there's all that much I can do. Maybe there is actually. after a5. Now that I think about it, maybe it wasn't that easy to begin with. Who knows? Feels like a draw, but there was play left. So that would then mean, first of all, that I played brilliantly. Secondly, that it might have been a good idea to take on d5. I'm not sure about that either. Without knight c8. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for the game, Rote. This is a good part of the show when I try to clean my left nostril. I think it's probably not. Maybe it's a good part of the show if I play Auctioneer from Greece. Dimitris Papelis says is his name in his program, his profile. But I'm not sure. You never know online if it's really people's name. In an attempt to expand my growing fame even further, I just applied on Twitter to get my account, I think it's called verified, mainly because I'm jealous that, or envious is the correct word, that Lawrence Trent got his verified. So I had to provide proof that it's really me. Probably I should have done a video and then have linked to it. But I thought of that too late, so I gave some random links. Anyway, Auctioneer is not here. And I will play somebody else. What about Palapiti? Wow, Romeo Wegner. That's not a very common name. Romeo from Austria. But it looks like no one's around. What are you people doing? How dare you challenge me and then not sit there without moving for 90 minutes straight, listening to me blabbering on about I need this blue checkmark on my Twitter account. Palapiti is not around. Sorry, man. Nothing I can do about it. Let's see if I can find one person that has challenged me and is still with us. How about Johann Wolfgang Möbius? I have to move the clock again to put some respect on his name so we can see everything. He's there. Plays e4. Is it me or am I black against e4 every game today? It does feel like that. Haven't had a Caro-Can yet. And in Blitz, no, in Bullet, because in Bullet, for whatever reason, I like pre-moving one knight f6 or one c6. In Bullet, I always play a6, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The main idea is after knight gf3 to go bishop to g4. But it's not really that big an accomplishment. The main line, of course, is knight d2, d takes e4, which is probably a much saner choice. But I enjoy playing like this. Then I go e6, knight f6, try to provoke e5, put the knight here, play c5. I've had thousands of Bullet games that followed this course of events. Often with the knight on c3 as well. I don't think it's very good objectively, but you know. We all need a hobby. It's probably not true that I had thousands of Bullet games. Now that I think about it. And a lot of people are still here in the chat. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. By the way, if I'm referring to the chat, because sometimes it leads to confusion, I am talking about the chat of Chess24 on chess24.com, where you can kind of interact with the show. It depends if I stare in that direction or not. Well, the YouTube chat, I don't know if it's disabled or even if it's not. I never have YouTube open doing these shows because, after all, this is all a deeply thought out business venture. And the point of these shows is to get people to become premium members on chess24.com. So I can keep sitting here talking nonsense for a living and we can keep this project going. Yeah, that's about all the marketing texts I had for today. The more effective approach is normally become a premium member if you want to challenge a world famous, not aging at all, grandmaster like yours truly. And we have a quite typical structure for these variations. Johann Wolfgang von Möbius. Somehow I think it's von Möbius because his name sounds so sophisticated that you feel there's a von in there. But there's not. Anyway, he's played well. It looks at first sight that black is doing fine because he got rid of his quote-unquote bad bishop for white's good bishop, but white's space advantage is still in place, and these structures are actually not easy at all to handle with black. I quite like white's position, to be frank. One problem is it's not so easy to where to put my king. If you castle, sometimes h4, h5 is a bit of an issue. He goes bishop takes d4, interesting. I was expecting cd4 when I wanted to do something like knight a5 or knight b6, but bishop d4, yeah, leaves this pawn a little weaker, but certainly a playable move. I feel it's time to castle. I don't see how I can delay it further. b4. That feels like the wrong side of the board to play to me. I'll take here, which might look weird, because I'm taking his very bad bishop and stabilizing his center. But I hope that the c-file that I am gaining in this transaction will more than compensate for that. As they say, I'm never sure. Oh, I missed 92. I'm never sure why they say that, but they do say that one should look at pieces that remain on the board, not that pieces that disappear from the board. Anyway, had I seen 92, I wouldn't have done any of these crazy things. So I have to change plans. After rook c4, I can't go queen takes because of rook c1, and my c8 rook is loose. Therefore, I have to go dc, which might look nice at first sight because it's a passed pawn, but it's really very well blockaded by the knight on c3. So I'm not full of joy, not overflowing with joy about this turn of events. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm that much worse. I have functioning pieces. Where does he want? He wants to put this knight on e4. All right, I don't mind. If that's what makes you happy, Johann Wilhelm Möbius, be my guest. Knock yourself out. And I mean that. Please knock yourself out, because I'm not going to be able to do it. What now? How do I complicate this situation? e5 maybe? It's probably just a bad move. But I need some action. My ADHD no longer allows me to play positional maneuvering games. I guess I shouldn't joke about that. I'm not sure. I haven't been tested, even though I do have trouble paying attention to anything for more than 30 seconds, but I believe that's probably a spirit of our times and not really an illness of mine. Everything is yelling, pay attention to me. Like, who has time to read a book from start to finish if there's so many videos you could click on in the meantime? Or not just videos, tweets, anything. I did achieve my goal of mixing it a bit. This position has become a lot more double-edged, which is what I wanted. And I think it also has become quite good for me, because if I don't get checkmated, and I don't see how, this queen is a long way away from h4, then yeah, my passed pawn might play a role. What are we discussing? My Germanness? I'm reading the chat. I am German. Born here, both of my parents are Germans. Yeah. I want to go c2. I'm trying to calculate like rook c1, rook c8, knight c5, bishop c5, rook c2, but I'm failing. So I'll go here first. Does that make any sense? Not sure it does. Nah, it feels ridiculously slow. I'm still in good shape, but there must have been some direct win here. We'll find out. Queen f3 I can just take. On g5. After knight g5, f7 is covered. Still, not the end of the day. Not the end of the day. I'm sorry, this cold is acting up. I'm normally, of course, way wittier, but this cold is really getting to me. It's not my Germanness that stops me from saying funny things. It's my coldness. I read an article on Spiegel online earlier. See, I'm still trying to prove my Germanness. It says we have a, what's it called? Flu wave in the north of Germany now. I feel like it got me. Why is Johan Wilhelm Möbius playing so well? You're only, quote unquote, and I mean this with all appropriate respect. Nah, but I do mean it. You're only 2000. You should just lose. Why do you play so well? Maybe I'm playing so badly. Maybe it's both. But I'll win on time, of course. So it's not all bad. Still, I have not really broken through at all. Queen b5, that's a check over there. I don't want that check. Now he has to gamble, unfortunately for him, because he understands that he can't win the endgame with 10 seconds on the clock. But Queen b2 was a bit of a mistake in the grand scheme of things. Knight d3 was probably even faster, but this is plenty good enough. Therefore, Johan Wilhelm Möbius resigns, and I believe my intervention has helped. Just when I complained why he's playing so well, he blundered. So thank you for that, Johan Wilhelm Möbius. What am I missing in the chat? Gustafsson, son of Gustav. Says Kadu Ortolan. Yeah, it does mean that. It doesn't mean that my dad is called Gustav. In Sweden, it's a pretty common surname, and I have Swedish ancestors, which is where it's coming from. I'm sure Gustafsson is like in the top 5 of Swedish surnames. In Iceland, I believe it works like that, where they change their name with every generation, which is confusing. There, if you're Gustafsson, you're literally, your father is called Gustav, and if you're called Jan, then your son is called Jansson. Is that correct, Icelandic people watching? I believe it's correct. But in Sweden, it's not like that. Let's play, speaking of Scandi people. Does that sound condescending? Nah. Scandi people. R Mortensson 88. Sounds Danish, but he's from the Faroe Islands. Wow. Which, I'm not informed on politics. Faroe Islands are not Danish, right? Are you guys independent? Are you like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I should know such things. I believe it's an independent country that, of course, has close ties to Denmark. But goes to show you that I do not really read enough of these smart sites because I get distracted easily. He does play the f3 Nimzo, and I probably gotta stand up for what I said in my video series. The problem is I normally forget whatever I say in my video series. I do believe that I recommended the sharp line with c5, d5, b5. Now, I do know that I recommended this, but I can't remember any of the details after e4. I gave castles, and e5, knight e8, f4 is the main line. Well, I also talked a lot about knight h3. Can't remember what I gave against either line, which is a pity. Anyway, does anybody know anything about the Faroe Islands political situation? I'm a bit embarrassed that I don't know that. Let me Google that. Apologies to R Mortensson 88. An archipelago between Norway and Iceland. All right. I want to know about the relation to Denmark. Climate is classed as subpolar oceanic climate. That means colder than Germany? Sounds colder than Germany. Nature, flora, fauna, yeah. Politics and government, here we go. The Faroese government holds executive power in local government affairs. Fair enough. National and elections are held at municipal, national and Danish level. So it is sort of a part of Denmark, but still independent. Faroe Islands have been under Norwegian-Danish control since 1388. Wow, this is confusing. At current, the islanders are about evenly split between those favoring independence and those who prefer to continue as a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Okay, so it is still officially a part of the Kingdom of Denmark. All right, we learned something. Apologies for my ignorance. How many inhabitants do the Faroe Islands have? Like 50,000. That's not that many people. 50,000. What city is 50,000 people? Wow, you got a lot of space over there. Looks nice. I've never been, as you can probably tell. But okay, I'll stop reading the Wikipedia article and focus on this position. This position is a big part of my repertoire series on the Nimzo, which you can check out on chess24.com. The main move is knight f3 when I, once again, am struggling to recall what I gave. I believe I gave e takes d, c takes d, and then c4, which once again is the main line. But I remember I couldn't decide after knight f3, e d, c d between knight c7, queen b6, and c4. And in the end, I probably settled for this, but the details no longer come easy to me. He goes bishop e3. I must have talked about this. Makes a lot of sense because he's stopping queen b6 and bishop c5. The problem this move has is it doesn't do a lot to defend his center. So it looks logical to me to go knight c7, threatening de, followed by knight takes d5. In general, this is the essence of the position, that if white manages to develop, then of course he's going to be doing pretty well with his giant center, but it won't be easy to keep the center alive against black's pieces, going after both the e and the d pawn. Bishop b7, knight d7, sometimes bishop g4, knight c7, targeting d5. Bishop e3, I'm trying to expose the flaw it has by going knight c7, intending to go d takes e, followed by knight takes d5. White normally has to be very quick trying to undermine the black queen side. Therefore, I think instead of bishop e3, the main move is a4, leading to crazy complications. But bishop e3, I guess I looked at this because it looks quite logical. However, now I'm mildly optimistic. He goes a3, trying to force me to take. Well, if I take b, c, d, e, then maybe d6 is a bit of a bother. So I think I'll keep this bishop alive for now. Not sure this was right. I could have taken and then played bishop b7, which also looks quite good. But we're going to... Cryo426 says, Jan, stop teaching us. I work so hard to be ignorant. What is your favorite Nicolas Cage film? That's a topic I will always bite on. First of all, there's no bad Nicolas Cage film. So it's maybe this overrated drinking movie. This what's called Leaving Las Vegas. That one I don't care about. Haven't even seen it. Because I don't care about it. But favorite, there's so many. So many classics. Like even small roles, like the dad he is in Kick-Ass. Amazing part, but you gotta go with, I don't know, the big three: Con Air, The Rock, and Face Off. Those are the golden. This is peak cageness right there. Queen c2. Don't you dare trying to checkmate me, R Mortensson 88. Wow, that's his point. Long castles. So aggressive. I'll try to get some pieces out and then think how to handle all of this, frankly, unwarranted aggression. Takes bishop c5. It's a messy position. I have no idea what's going on, to be frank. Do I say to be frank a lot today? I have a feeling sometimes I have a random expression in my head and then I just use it 8,000 times for no good reason. But I'm a little scared by R Mortensson and his aggressive ways. Not scared enough to just take pawns and hope for the best, but still scared to not just take pawns and hope for the best. Bishop D2, can't I counterattack? I feel the time has come to launch an equally vicious counterattack. Queen A5, here's King B2, which is a pity. But still. Not sure. The queen should go to A5 or to E7 to keep an eye on kingside proceedings. I don't know, I'll go here, but I feel bad about this. Not about my position, but about the lack of aggression. But then again, Queen A5, he would have stopped the mate in one. Well, Queen E7 was sneaky enough that he didn't, and therefore I checkmated R Mortensson. Don't you love it when you have a checkmate in one and then your opponent all of a sudden, the game ends and he doesn't know why. It says 0-1, he thinks it's a bug in the side. And in that one case, it's not a bug off the side, but I did checkmate him. Beautiful. Let's play another chess game. And let's play my boy, Carl Ning, because he's 67 years old, but he feels older, so I feel I can crush him. Because I feel like 50 most of the time, which is a spring chicken compared to 67-year-old Carl Ning. He goes E4, E5. Why wouldn't you? I will attack this pawn and now develop my bishop. So-called Ruy Lopez. Some people take on C6 here, but those people don't respect bishops. I respect bishops. Can't do it. D6 is a legal move. The so-called, what's it called? Delayed Steinitz, something like that. And B5 is a little less common here than bishop D7 or even F5. After B5 it's always a big question. Do you put the bishop on B3 or on C2? But more often than not, in my limited experience, if the bishop can go to C2 in one go, it makes sense to do so. Bishop G4 is kind of consistent. Often, I would even say normally it's not a great idea to go bishop G4 in the Spanish, because this bishop is on a bad circuit and will often end up on bad squares over there. But here it made sort of sense to put the center under pressure very quickly. Not sure about castles, maybe H3 or knight F1 were more to the point. And now, I don't know, we have a strange position. I'll throw in a little H3, see what happens. Rook B8 was a bit off topic, I would say. But so far, can't be too harsh on old Carl, who's played very sensible moves. Maybe not strictly theory, but getting the pieces out, putting them on sensible squares is really what the opening is about. It's called deferred Steinitz, that's also possible. A5 is a mistake, however, and it goes to show you always have to be tactically alert. Smallest things can change the game greatly. Here, after Rook B8 at A5, this knight didn't have anywhere to go. And that includes the A7 square, because my bishop was covering that. Very untypical that D5 traps the knight on C6, but after A5 and B8, Rook B8, both of his squares had disappeared. And now, with the knight up, I'm very confident. I don't get many compliments, but I am confident. Used to have a complex, but being too complex. Where's that? Talib Kweli? I think it's Talib Kweli. I know it's Talib Kweli. Rook C1 looks a little weird, but I want to go Queen F3 and have D5 covered. So there's no knight D5, since after ED I can recapture here. And since I am a piece up, I can take it nice and slow. $8mm. Oh, that's a Nick Cage film? That's true. It was a bit weird, but I think I enjoyed it. Isn't it this fake snuff movie? Those are the things you're supposed to enjoy, right? Enjoyment is the sensation I was supposed to take away from it. And it got its purpose done. But I'm blanking a bit. I must have seen hundreds of Nick Cage movies, because he does every movie, right? And I'm sure there were some good ones that I can't think of. Netflix keeps telling me to watch Adaptation. which I believe I have seen and sort of enjoyed. But I haven't for a while. And it tells me that opponent disconnected. Carl Ning is gone. Where you at, Mr. Ning? I also forgot to switch my Skype off, which I often do. Or sometimes I don't switch it off on purpose. But I'll get back to Skype dudes in a second. I gotta take this, but I'll be right back with you. Probably. Goes to show my level of dedication that I'm Skyping during the show. All right, back to Nick Cage. After Carl Ning disconnected. Who else can I play? Let's find the strongest challenger I can locate to mess up my hardly earned. Hardly means something else, but my hard-earned 3000 rating Dr. LE. And in fairness to Dr. LE and unfairness from me, I owe Dr. LE a game for like half a year now because I think he won one of these prediction games we had going where the grand first prize was to play against yours truly. And I'm not sure I ever made good on him cashing in that prize. Anyway, he plays a Queen C2 Nimzo. Did he study my video series? He's gonna play Knight f3? He is. And in my black video series, where I had to play against my white video series, I can't remember things, but this is the line I gave for white. And for black, what did I give? Must be c5, right? c5 looks very logical. dc is the principal move here after e3, c4. I believe that black is in decent shape. Here, what was it? I can never remember anything. I think this is what I gave. I'm trying to figure out if he goes e3. I remember there's some weird lines with knight e4, bishop d3, knight takes c3 castles. But I'm also wondering if after e3 I can't go bishop to f5. Well, there were other moves. I think I looked at bishop d2 and knight d2. a3, once again, can't I go bishop f5? Or knight e4? So many options. I could take on c3, but I don't really want to unless I have to. And I feel like I don't have to yet. So bishop f5, what happens? Queen f5, bishop c3, let's say bishop d2, takes, knight takes, knight e4, b4. Not so clear. If I go knight c6, he's going to move the rook. If I go knight e4, maybe knight e4 is easiest. Yeah, I'll do that. I don't know, tricky position. These things, yeah, they're hard to play. By general rules, you gotta either know or work out the tactics. Bishop d2 looked like the only sensible move indeed. What is the threat? Bishop f5, knight e4, bishop e4, bishop b4 works for him. So do I have to take here? Then knight takes, and I'm not that happy. Like, I don't really think I'm in trouble, but I'm not that happy either. Maybe I have to do this, but this is not what I wanted. Because now he has b4. Oof, this is a tactic actually. No, he missed it, but this is a tactic one should not blunder. Well, now I'll probably get my pawn back and we have a roughly equal position. Typical play is rook d1, when I can either sacrifice knight c5, rook d5, b6, which looks fine, or try to keep it. Instead he goes e3, which is also fine, of course. Knight takes c5. Some move, knight d4. And roughly equal, maybe it's slightly, or c4. Yeah, c4 is probably cleanest. Just get rid of that weak c3 pawn. We'll find out. Yep, c4, go here. Hard to pose problems here. Dr. L.A. playing very solidly. I'll transfer my knight here just to be annoying. But not much there. Trying to unbalance the situation a bit now. At least he has double pawns and I can target this bishop. I better be fast because else my knight on c3 looks a little funny. And Dr. Lay does not mind further simplifications. Can't really blame him. But for now I don't want to exchange his bishop. Try to keep it alive. King g2 to prepare rook c1, also perfectly natural. Yeah, how do I win this position? Problem is if he forces me to take on e4, which after rook c1 I might have to. I'm not really sure I have enough to work with. I'll try, of course, but it doesn't feel like a whole lot. Maybe rook ec1 is even more circumspect. And Dr. Lay, yeah, seems to be like a very careful player indeed. Does exactly that. Knight b5 looks ridiculous. No, I gotta grind this endgame. It's very little, but what can you do? On paper, at least, I have this 2 versus 1 majority. Well, he does have a double pawn. Of course, it should be a draw. But I can play for a win with a very clear conscience here. And even some chances. Bring my king to the center. Then next order of business is activating my rook a bit. And then we'll see what to do. Not sure if I should go h5 or not. I'll do it, but it might be wrong. h3. Try to gain a bit of space over here. It's not clear to me where my rook is best placed. I goes a4, trying to force the issue, which is fine. But, you know, the saga continues. To put my pawn on a2? Guess so, right? After king h4, I have a feeling it's important I can go rook g2 to stop his king from penetrating here. Goes h4 now. Well, only plan I see is bring my king over. Harass his rook and then move my king up the board. Not sure it'll be fast enough. We'll find out. I don't think this checking tactics work. They work with when the king is on a1, but here it just sped up the process. He had to go for counterplay in the center, but it probably wasn't fast enough either, because here my king always gets shelter. And Yeah, this is lost. My rook can handle whatever white has as counterplay. Dr. Lay realizes what he's done. Gives another check, but it's too late. And he resigns. Yeah, weird rook ending. Had to be a draw, but as mentioned, it was a little easier to play with black. And these things can end, and the tactic of giving checks only works when the rook is on a1 behind the pawn. While when it's on c2, covering the pawn from the side. There's much greater winning chances, and this position, I don't know, I have a feeling it might already be winning, but white has to be very fast, try to organize some counterplay on the king side, be it f5 or e5, e4, f5, to distract me from bringing my king all the way. But yeah, thanks for the game, Dr. Lay. What time is it? When did I start? 5:30? Yeah, we got time for 3 more games. Let's play against Karales. Go d4, and he goes e6. Well, it could be many a Dutch still, and it's probably going to be the system that I always promise to study and then never study. This Simon Williams system, castles followed by d6. Yeah, this invariably is a word. This happens all the time. I never look at it, and then I promise to look at it, and then I still don't look at it. I'll never know anything about this, but normally I play knight c3 and then knight e4 or whatever happens. So for this game, why not change it up and play queen c2? Probably because it's not a good move, but what to do? You gonna go e5, Karales? Well, I'm quite quick drumming up some play. In the center too, d, d, rook d1, knight d5. What do I know? I know a lot. What are we talking? Still Nick Cage movies? I read a lot of True Romance stuff in the chat. Was Nick Cage in True Romance? I can only remember Brad Pitt and whichever Arquette it was in True Romance. Patricia Arquette? Anyway, good movie. Valley Girl. It does sound like the topic is still Nick Cage movies. And I'm sure I've mentioned it many times before, but you can't really mention it often enough. Nick Cage as everything blogspot.com is probably the best site on the internet. Let me find the link for you guys. Nick Cage as everything. As everyone. I always get it wrong. My apologies. There you go. Go away. Stop watching this show. No one cares about me winning another Banter Blitz game when you can look at Photoshop pictures of Nicolas Cage in the most hilarious of situations. Knight b5 looked logical, targeting c7. Then again, after bishop d8, I'm not quite sure where it's going next. So I'll get some pieces out. Probably Karales is just gonna checkmate me. Mercilessly. Queen h5, f4, bishop h3, knight g4. English school of chess. And I like to make fun of it, but it works. That's why it's being taught to generation after generation. That's how you checkmate the white king. I still haven't seen Arrival. I want to see it, but somehow I couldn't convince any of my violent friends to go watch it because it sounded too science fiction-y, cerebral. Some offense to my violent friends. So no, I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good. I want to watch it. This knight, after a small detour, has arrived at his rightful square on d5. And e4 I'm not sure about. Feels positionally a bit wrong, and there might also be some tactical issues with it. But mainly positionally, it stops... Sorry, my nose is acting up. Once again, it stops the... whatever it's called. The English attacking plan. Queen h5, f4, bishop h3, checkmate. Not gonna happen now. Well, the white initiative is quite fast now all of a sudden. If he goes, let's say, bishop c8, bishop c5 might pick up material already. So yeah, e4, knight g5 I didn't like. And this looks like... adding insult to injury. Nah, not the right expression, right? Using gasoline to extinguish the fire. How do I win? Bishop takes looks good enough, but knight takes d5, and if rook takes d5, let's c6. Rook e5, I'm probably better, but I'm not sure if I'm better enough. And I know that's not English. So d e6, bishop e3, e7, rook f7 doesn't win yet. No wins. Very sad. Kadu Ortolan wants to watch Manchester by the Sea. I heard good things about that one too. And I do enjoy Casey Affleck as an actor. I like this, what's it called? Gone Baby Gone movie. Manchester by the Sea sounded incredibly sad. And maybe a little too real. Like, I need like at least 2 superheroes in every movie I watch. If there's no superheroes, I'm not sure I'm in. But no, seriously speaking, it did sound very good. And it's also on my watch list. I haven't seen any of the Oscar favorites yet. I haven't seen La La Land. Probably I'd hate La La Land, even though I did like the dude's previous movie. What was it called again? He's a young director, Damien Chazelle or something. Whiplash. I did enjoy Whiplash. Not sure I liked whatever messages it had, but it was an enjoyable watch. Or disturbing, which in my world is the same as enjoyable. So yeah, I'll probably watch La La Land. I want to watch Moonlight. I want to watch Manchester by the Sea. I haven't seen any of the cool movies this season yet. I watched Hell or High Water, which I thought was great, but doesn't seem to get much Oscar love. And yeah, sorry for my nasal drone. Still good old cold. Very annoying, actually, this cold. Alright, this is a pin, which is slightly annoying. Not that annoying. I'll take here. Mainly because it wins a pawn, but also because I hope that he blunders. Queen h6 followed by queen g7, checkmate. He might stop it accidentally, which would be the worst of all if he plays queen h5, planning to go queen h3, and accidentally stopping my devious threat. Such is life sometimes. Whoa! Easy. Don't checkmate me. We're all friends here. That should stop his checkmating plans. Now I could grab the rook, but contradicting the old Russian saying that if you can take a rook or give checkmate, you should always take the rook because it might not be checkmate. I'll go with the checkmate because I'm pretty sure that it is checkmate. Thanks for the game, Coach Karales. Oh, Professor Moriarti. I can never figure out, is he dead or is he not dead? Like in Sherlock. Looks like they've kind of decided he's dead and then they just brought him back for post-mortem shenanigans. But it's still very confusing. And is he a professor? In Sherlock, he's not a professor, right? He's just Moriarty. Doesn't look very professorish there. Is he a professor in the original books? I did read those when I was a kid, but I can't even remember my own video series, so don't expect me to remember Conan Doyle stuff. He probably is a professor. 6d3. This is a line I'm supposed to know a little about after this World Championship match where I worked for Magnus Carlsen, and this line featured prominently. But don't you worry, whatever information I have on this line, I've either forgotten or I will not use for this game. Knight a5, bishop a2, c5. I believe bishop e6 was played in some of the games. c5 is another main line. b4 here I'm not that familiar with. I could take a knight c6 or knight c6 directly. Who knows? I'll go back. If takes a knight c6, I thought he could still go knight d5, so it didn't seem to make much of a difference. And Epinikion says he doesn't remember him as Professor. Yeah, Professor Moriarti sounds right, but in the Sherlock series he didn't have this professorish vibe. So I thought there they did make him a professor. But in the original books, yeah, I think you're right that he is a professor in the books. Spoiler alert! I'm being told that in Elementary, if you want to watch Elementary and haven't yet, then fast forward like 5 seconds. I'm being told in Elementary, Moriarty is a female, Jane Moriarty. So yeah, he seems to have many identities, that dude. Knight d5, what did I do here? Should be 6 probably, maybe not. I could also take and then play. And have a take looks very passive. Should be 6. The thing is, I'm not sure I'm threatening anything, but if left to my own devices, I can probably go cb4 next. But if white plays c3, it's not 100% obvious to me that I've achieved anything. Or, to be more frank, it's quite obvious that I haven't achieved anything. Bishop g5, interesting. Can't I take? Knight d5, ed, bishop g5, de. Doesn't accomplish much. If I go cb anyway, I'm too greedy to not do this. Curious what he has in store. Knight e7, queen e7. Still a professor villain in the new movies. We're talking Sherlock for those of you who are confused by the conversation. The movies, I've seen the first one with Robert Downey Jr., but they are too cartoonish. And bishop d5 is way too strong a move. This Moriarty, he really is the devil. Yeah, I kind of missed bishop d5, to be honest with you. Looks like I have to go here, which is not ideal, but life still goes on. Yeah, there's more than one movie, right, with Robert Downey Jr. as Holmes, but no, they didn't do the trick for me. It looked like the essence of Holmes was a little lost. Whatever his essence is, I didn't like them. But I did enjoy the Sherlock series. I think everyone says season 1 and 2 are better, and Jane Watson's appearance sort of ruined it, but it's still good TV. This is not necessarily good chess. I'm being put under a lot of pressure by Moriarty, as he does. So I don't have a feeling I'm worse, but I have a feeling I have to be precise, which is even worse than being worse sometimes. I'll take here. Not quite sure what I'll do after rook a6, but I'll do something. One day or another, I might have to go h6. First of all, to challenge this construction, and secondly also to prepare a luft. Problem could be that he can just go bishop f6, and if queen f6, rook d6, which I might not be thrilled about. No, it's a tough position to handle. I'd hate to go h6, bishop f6, gf6. It just looks ugly. Yeah, don't know. Passive moves also look wrong. Everything looks wrong. I'll go with this for lack of better ideas. But it's basically just giving up a pawn. Oh, hang on, I shouldn't even pre-move this. DE. Complicated. But I don't like this. Why get rid of the D6 pawn, which I was about to give you anyway? That seems like he caught a break there. I was talking myself into G-F6 already after bishop F6 directly. Well, now, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm better, but I'm not worse at least. Nah, probably I'm better actually. Quite active. D6. How do we do this? Bishop here maybe? Rook E1. I was hoping for rook D1, bishop E2, but no such luck. Guess I should spend a tempo on safeguarding this pawn. Knight H4 is obvious. So is bishop E6, not allowing knight F5. Now, if he goes rook B6, I might have some tricks like rook E2. So, all hope is not yet lost. Hoping for rook b6, rook e2, king f1, rook c2, rook takes e2. Yeah, none of this is happening, but still, man must have dreams. Rook e3 could be annoying. Is it? Could be. Rook g3, rook a8, rook g8. Should not allow all of those things to happen. Rook a3, I guess similar idea, but less worrying. Now my king gets to walk free. Yeah, this. I don't know if it's winning, but it looks like very good winning chances once again. That combined with my flagging prowess should secure victory. Could have taken here. Can still do it here. Why not? Can never have enough pawns. I am trying my hardest to not end up as a pawn in Moriarty's game here. Checkmate. All right, one last very quick game. So let's play Mr. Cobra Man. Did I click on you? Here we go. Cobra Man, are you with us? I am in a big hurry, so make your move. Right now. I'll count to 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Abortovich. Sorry, Cobra Man. Anybody who is here? How about Essaniel 26? I'm really in a hurry, so I'll start these countdowns very quickly. Here we go. C4, E5. Knight C3, Knight F6. As you do. I'll pre-move this. Can this be a bad move against anything? Against D3, maybe I wouldn't have done it actually. But even after D3, how bad can it be? All of this is of course perfectly playable, but since white has gone for an early D3, I think I can get away with playing bishop E6. Which normally you can't in other move orders because there's always direct tactical prompts. Well, here it looks like I'm in time. That would allow me to equalize straight out of the opening. Of course, it's a dragon with colors reversed and white has an extra tempo, but it still equal directly because in the structure, if black hasn't lost time on knight b6 and then returning, there's not much white can claim. Of course, white has zero problems either, so we've only just begun. Yes, Sanyal, 26, taking his time here. E4 is a little suspect position, and I was talking about my knight not having to go to b6. After e4, you lock in your own bishop and you create a weakness on d3. So normally, in order to go e4, you better have very good reasons, like you're able to follow it up directly with d4 next move. Well, here it felt a bit premature. a4, my point is, if he goes d4, which looks logical, I want to go bishop b3. I like that since I'm in a hurry, I'm talking faster, as if that makes the game end more quickly. Anyway, after d4, bishop b3, I thought I could ask some questions. Queen d2, knight c4, queen d3, bishop c4, queen somewhere else, e d4, or knight d4. Yeah, questions will be asked. Not sure if we'll find any answers, but sometimes it's about asking the right questions, not about receiving answers. And here the question is, how do you keep your peace? Come on, S. Sanyal, let's get this over with. We'll get a long way home. You probably are home, so you don't feel my pain as strongly. But he does resign. Thanks, S. Sanyal, for the game. Yeah, that went unfortunately there. As mentioned, e4 is a bit much. Just some move like bishop d2 or whatever. And white is, of course, fine. Anyway, that's it for today. Apologies you guys have to see this dirty muck so often. I'll work on that. Not sure how. But I promise I'll put a lot of work into it, into the muck. Any famous last words? No. What did I watch? I said I was going to talk about comedy. Oh yeah, 3 Mics, Neil Brennan, fantastic stuff. It's on Netflix. I very much enjoyed that and related to it. And I watched Michael Bolton's big, sexy Valentine's Day special, which, yeah, I'll watch anything done by Scott Aukerman, by the Comedy Bang Bang people. Huge fan of the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, so check that one out. And it has a lot of very funny stuff in it. That's my comedy recommendations for the day. Yeah, that's a weak exit, right? I should have like some kind of catchphrase. Later.